They'll be under the watchful eye of Sarah Cox today, in charge of a Prem game for just the 4th time this season. Matthew Carley and John Meredith keeping a beady eye on things from the touchline TMO Dan Jones in our truck. Honestly, it's the loveliest of days in the English southwest here in Bath. Driving over the hill from Bristol this lunchtime was a real treat, and we're hoping for something similar here. Bath in the blue, black and white. Quinn's in, I'm tempted to call it pink, but it's probably something clever like mauve. Anyway, you can tell the difference between the two easily enough, and you know who he is. Needs must, he'll be running the show from fullback rather than fly half today. Don't think it's his favourite position, but that chronic injury list, Tyrone Green still missing, means that it is Marcus Smith at 15 who gets this 80-minute contest going. And gathered comfortably enough by Bath's number 5 and captain Charlie Ewells.
Use it!
Watch it playing!
Tom Carl Smith taking all the time he needed.
I often think with a kick like that, Benny, as a man who used to have to stand and take those, you want it to be a bit of a challenge at some point, don't you? Either go really deep. That was just so easy for Bath to field, wasn't it?
Yeah, you do, and sending Nick David up to be the big collision. He's got Chandler Cunningham South outside you, so maybe just sacrifice 1 or 2 metres for the chance for the guy who's just taken the ball, or have it stolen off him to put a big shot in.
Stolen by the impressive Ewan Richards. He's one of those players who wears purple largely during Bath training sessions. Purple for the team who won't usually be the starters on match day at the weekend, but those purple players coming into their own towards the back end of this season, and Richards definitely one of them. First time as a Prem starter in 4 months today.
I think Ewan Richards is an interesting one. He seems to be one of those players, every time we see him play, he looks really, really good. But the Bath back row is stacked. He's also a big back rower. I wonder if the feeling is he's not quite, is he 7 or 8 kilos short of being a top lock? You know, Charlie Ewells has got bigger and bigger over the years. Quinn Rue, massive lump, but he's an excellent player, that's for sure.
It's George Turner's throw. Dombrandt's carry, nicely laid back for Lucas Friday at 9 today for Harlequins. Stu Townsend amongst their replacements. Bryn Bradley giving it a little bit of extra width, and that's nicely away by Caden Murley under some pressure. Nick David chasing hard. Thokana Singer dabs down.
Really nice wide pass from Lucas Friday there, which just means that everyone on the outside for Bath has to turn their shoulders in. You see they're all coming in, but they've already got round that first defender, which means there's a bit of extra space on the outside. They put it in behind. Doesn't quite go where they want with the kick, but I think that will be the key, the distance he can get to get round those initial Bath defenders. We all know how big they are in and around the breakdown. Take out a few extra bodies and then try and get those outside defenders stepping in and maybe play either over the top of them or try and go around them with Chris Henry like they did there.
I think he's set to get the Eddie Hearn matchroom treatment, isn't he? That's what we're hearing. That he's joined the same stable as Henry Pollock.
Wonder if he's going to start doing what boxers do and just slagging off the opposition every week ahead of... Just slag them off, get personal in the press conference every Wednesday.
Ball down at somebody from the ropes. Invite them into the ring.
Signal. Tackle now.
It's a decent shove from Harlequins, who can operate now on the 10-metre line in the sunshine. And here goes Sean Kerr. First Premiership start back in September against Bath, and here he is starting against them again today with Luke Northmore pulling out late on. Oh, and it's been intercepted. Jared Evans wants that moment back. Santi Carreras loves his stroll in the sunshine.
It's beautifully read by Santi Carreras, but it has to be said it was a touch telegraphed. In these first few minutes, there's been some lovely late passes just at the point of contact from Harlequins. Bath have been stretched a couple of times defensively. It felt like the only option that was going to happen. You could have stuck it on a postcard. Too easy.
There are almost too many options for him outside, and that's not a bad thing. But what he needs, if you look at his head just before the ball comes, he's not looked outside. He hasn't really got time to look. So when he takes the ball, there's a fraction of a second of a delay while he just sees which option he's going to take. That's all that Santi Carreras needs. And by the time he's spotted Carreras out of the line, he can't take the ball back. Maybe just a little bit of support from outside him. Maybe Marcus Smith just telling him the option.
Tuck your shirt back in.
So often in these situations, 10s rely on their 12s, the people outside, just to make that call for them. He hasn't looked. You can see Ollie Lawrence doesn't even bother chasing it. He knows Carreras has got the pace. But actually, the better ball maybe would have been to Bradley there. Running that tight line, he was almost half through the gap.
Another restart taken by Charlie Ewells.
No, we're all done. Queens, leave
His
it.
fifth Premiership start
Use
today.
it.
Injuries this season mean it's been a bit of a stop-start season. Oh, and it was very nicely done. Kieran Treadwell coming through.
Eagle.
Use it.
By Petty. It's nicely done by David, and he uses Kenningham. Spread the ball a little bit further wide, and the try scorer Santi Carreras ushers the ball beautifully up the touchline. Smith. A couple of bounces into the arms of Cock and Singer. And Russell into the open stand, which will be a glorious place today with the sunshine pouring down on them.
One of the good days to be in that stand, the East Stand at the Rec. There are tougher days than this, sitting in those seats.
It's called the Gene Kelly stand, isn't it, unofficially, because when it isn't a day like this, you're often singing in the rain. Anyway, lovely place. Look at that. I mean, I know Cape Town will have its admirers,
Just do me a favour.
but I wonder, for my money, mile for mile, this might be the most beautiful rugby city in the world. Not a conversation for now. Won by Petty. We'll have some South American examples, I'm sure.
Second time Quins have gone to the drive and got a bit of success. Often when you play against Harlequins, you automatically presume, because of their style of play and DNA, they're going to play off the top. They've just taken that advantage, but unfortunately, the delivery to Friday, not quite up to it. They relaxed at that last minute and just let a couple of bodies through. Bit of claret there. See, they're in a really good position there, and they just take a little bit extra. Friday goes in to try and solve it. Just a little bit of accuracy needed.
Well, Tom Dunn makes a big dent, doesn't he? He smacks it backwards, and it's all very well rolling off the side. You've got to brace for impact. You can't have one man knocking 2 or 3 men backwards like that. Great effort and aggression from Tom Dunn, as per. But you've got to be ready for that. You can't get wiped out by one guy.
Beyond 250 games for his hometown club this season. He's only 3 short now of 200 in the Prem. Interesting talking to Jason Gilmore this week. Very similar situation to George Skivington. Similar conversations that he is having with Robbie Deans, the chat that George Skivington is having with Chris Boyd. Just where they take this Quinn side next season, while still paying respect, to use Chris Boyd's phrase, to what we've got left this season.
But there are so many things to consider, of course. But one of the things is, you know, you look at Chiefs against Saints today, a wonderful game, 2 teams properly at it. You know, Bath, we fully expect to be knocking around playoffs and finals. At some point, you've got to go and take these teams on and beat them. And it's all very well saying, this is how I think you beat these teams. But it's about the cattle you've got. It's about the personnel you've got, and actually you've got to find a way to play that best suits the human beings you've got in your squad, because you can't just change it every year. you've got what you've got. They've got some really, really good players at Quins, but you have to play a style, A, that suits them, and B, that can beat the power of a team like Bath.
They talk about the Quinn style, don't they, Ben? The personality of the club, and it's a world-famous style and personality, but first and foremost, it's got to be a winning personality, hasn't it?
100%. Yeah, I mean, that's the purpose of playing. Yes, the players enjoy playing in a certain way, and I think that is important. Chris Boyd was saying yesterday, you know, he's got to find out at Gloucester how the players want to play, because you need them to buy into it. But equally, you've got to be doing the stuff that's going to win you the games.
Early try for Bath, scored by Santi Carreras. The interception try. Russell now helping the search for a second via Carreras. Henry Arundel was a tempting option, but wasn't taken. Ball went forwards. Harlequins will have a scrum.
Just on that, Robbie Deans and Chris Boyd as well. It'll take some doing from them, because when you're not there week in, week out, day in, day out, to sort of come in, there'll be bits you miss. And look, Chris Boyd is outstanding, and we know that he's had that role with Northampton, so he'll have an understanding of it. But it'll still be really difficult to affect the culture, affect the coaches and what they're doing if you're not there every. Not only how good a coach they are, because it's not really that, is it? It's how good they are at developing other coaches.
Developing players like Marcus Smith. We'll enjoy chatting with Robbie Deans. All that coaching know-how from his time with the All Blacks and the Wallabies and the Crusaders. He is questioning what they're all about at the moment, challenging them. And he will be watching this today.
Celebrations from Harlequins flats, because an area that maybe looked at the two teams and wondered who'd have that advantage in the front five. There's been a couple of drives, a scrum penalty.
Yeah, and you've got Will Hobson there's got the penalty. Be chuffed to bits. His mates will be chuffed for him. He's up against Billy Seller, who is a young man, but he's much vaunted. Very, very highly rated. Big prospect, huge man. Hobson surrounded by a bit less fanfare. But it's Seller there, a judge to have folded under the pressure. Those bum taps are good ones. When you get the call, they're good ones.
Shorten the line out this time. You'd expect, with who they've got in the midfield, at some point this might get out there quite quickly.
Oh, it's just beautifully poured away by Petty. Featherlight touch from Turner's throw. Not much featherlight about Will Hobson, however. And Treadwell goes in to clear it, and then Friday realised that he was all on his own and he had to pop it in the air, and this is the result. And Barbary charging away. It's always the risk when you try to carry it in one hand. Meantime, Quins with ball that they might be able to use. It was the chase from Kerr, but that's as far as it goes.
Do you know, that is casual from Alfie Barbary. This is really good work at the breakdown from Tom Carr-Smith. Keep your eyes on him. It's sharp, super sharp. It's a bit casual, the one-handed thing. Well, it so often comes off for Barbary. Just Santi Carreras did the same down here when he brought the ball into the 5-metre channel down on this near touchline. One-handed, looking for an offload that didn't really need to go. You want to push the limits, but I just wonder if they're a little bit casual.
Just from a Harlequins point of view there, they'll be disappointed with that, the turnover.
He's chasing back for the ball.
Just they've created such good ball. They're tending to go into midfield and then come back the way they've just come from, trying to catch some of Bath's defenders being a little bit lazy. The clear out was almost too good, wasn't it, from the big two tall fellas. Went too far past the ball, and that isolated their nine.
It was a beautifully executed line-out move last time for Harlequins, this time a bit more conventional. Chandler Cunningham South stuffing it back on the plate of his big mates. Barbary is in a very annoying position from a Quins point of view, but they come away with it, and Dombrandt gets them that close, and here goes Bradley! Oh, that is some response from Harlequins.
Yeah, an impressive finish. Arundel does a really good job, because you can see as the maul breaks down and Barbary gets in the middle of it, Dombrandt has to break out, but he's trying to go high to get the ball around the back and out the back door of Arundel. They don't panic though, they recycle the ball. Chandler Cunningham South does exactly the right thing, doesn't go himself. You can see all the Bath players frantically trying to get back. They're all backtracking, which means they won't have the momentum to get off the line quickly. And unfortunately for Bath, the man that Bradley found was the guy that's probably going to be least likely to stop him.
Yep,
Finn Russell, just because of the weight difference.
Yeah, Bradley's 6'4", 16 stones, 100 kilos. Big centre. It remains a 5-point score, however.
It was nicely finished, wasn't it? But I just wondered about watching Bath's maul defence there, Ben, and there are guys, some guys are properly giving, there are some guys hanging off the side. It wasn't necessarily eyes up, it wasn't as frenzied as you'd want it. Quinn's capitalised.
Technique for Bath at the moment seems to be trying to get individuals in to disrupt it and get round and through.
Thockenham Singer got his hands on the ball. And now Barbary. Carr Smith. Russell holds it up for a Jomo. Richards. Joe Thockenham Singer screaming for all his worth on the far side, just underneath the east stand. Meantime, Tom Dunn.
They've got some pace out wide if they can get it there. All three of their back three stationed in that side. Now Arundel comes back to his wing.
Jomo! Oh, puts it on a plate for the scrum half, Carr Smith.
Yeah, I'm having a look at it, fellas, so just bear with me.
Lovely and direct from Bath. In the end, it all looks so simple. Ollie Lawrence, huge physical presence, finds a gap between two shoulders, steams through it and makes the offload look easy, but Bath put some heavy work in. The momentum all came from Joe Thockenham Singer's super aggressive athletic attempt at winning back the restart after the Quins try. We'll have a look at this is forward.
There's nothing clear and obvious there.
But twice Quins have kicked off, twice it's been no pressure at all for Bath.
Pass goes back.
No pressure at all, easily taken by Bath. Bath restart, here's Thockenham Singer, absolutely steams into it, causing problems. Big difference.
Quality of this offload, just to pull it back. He's obviously falling in the wrong direction. He's almost got slightly too long to make that an easy pass, and he whips the fingers through. And what does the TMO look for? Always looks at the fingers and the hand and which way they're facing as the ball comes out. So if you can whip that hand backwards, much more likely the decision's going to go your way. He is very, very good at that, Ollie Lawrence. That half break and then the support.
This one to compete for from Marcus Smith, and again it was closest to Ewells, but this time he couldn't gather it cleanly.
No, just knock on.
Bath possession, the ball came off a Harlequins' hand. Scott Kirk helping to get it back. Richards. Carr Smith. Russell and a Jomo.
Advantage.
Bath with the advantage because again there was another knock-on in the tackle. Crashed up by Thockenham Singer. Barbary. Gets it away and it was brilliantly taken, and Vilikessa Sella marmalising people along the way, and more marmalising to do than Alfie Barbary is pretty reasonable at that as well. And then the flashing pass from a Jomo and Carreras, and Bath are in full flight here. Harlequins having to very quickly reorganise their defence on that far left-hand side. Done. Tackled by Turner.
Just that ambition means that players running looking for offloads when they get into this high flow game. That's a brilliant pickup from Sella, but just occasionally they're going to become a little bit under-resourced at some of the breakdowns, and Harlequins attuned to that get the counter ruck in and win a penalty.
If you're Quins and you're out there talking to each other, you're thinking Bath are turning ball over like that, and they're standing around almost like Antoine Dupont when he backs off from a breakdown, and they're wondering what they might do with the ball. They're having a quick look at their options. Very, very confident. You've got to cut their space down. You've got to keep your spacings right, but you've got to get off the line and get into them, or Bath will just cut you apart.
It's more, it's Petty not wasting any time as he was high in the air. Dombran just up to the 10-metre line. Ajomo standing firm and under some pressure again. Evans gets the ball away. Here goes Marcus Smith. It's hunted down by Scott Kirk, continuing to bank Premiership experience. Wait from Bryn Bradley. Yeah, there was more than a hint of the forward, and there was enough of a hint for Sarah Cox to blow the whistle.
Benny, I watched Chandler Cunningham South taking that ball as the front carrier and pulling it out the back, as we see so many guys do now. And every time I see him do it, I think, I wish you'd just steam in. Of course, he holds defenders because he's such a big ball carrier. But I just wonder about how many carries he's going to get playing at lock versus what he might do in the back row.
Yeah, obviously, you train that and you can swap roles for those different positions across the second row and six. Petty maybe not tasked with doing quite as much carrying, so they can share that workload. The one thing I think about Chandler, he is such a destructive ball carrier, but he tends to be a destructive ball carrier when he's running onto it at full tilt. So you can sort of guess whether he's going to pass it or whether he's going to carry. He needs to be running the same whether he's going to pass the ball or not, because otherwise someone like Tom Willis is slightly different. He's a bit more stationary when he takes the ball, so he's got a bit more of an element of surprise and deception, because you can think he's stationary and going to pass it and suddenly he goes and he catches you off guard. So I just think a little bit more of deception, because as you say, him running at full tilt is going to hold bodies.
And at Ashton Gate last night at Bristol Bears, you saw Fitz Harding running onto the ball absolutely flat out once or twice and carrying hard, and the next time the carry looked exactly the same before he pulled that ball back, and it makes such a difference when you hit it at pace.
Bind! Set! Steady!
Can't think of many more explosive carriers in the Prem or English qualified than Chandler Cunningham South.
Okay, just come in a little bit closer. We need some height as well, please.
He's getting another outing in the second row again today. First start at lock in 6 months, because Stefan Levis remains amongst the absent.
But it's interesting that he's wearing the second row jersey when Petty's in the back row, isn't it? You know, just wonder whether, somewhere in his mind or the Harlequins coach's mind or Steve Borthwick's mind, there's just, we need to see him a little bit playing there. He could be one of those hybrid players, a bit like the French used, where your back row can slot into the second row for a game.
Russell, nice and flat to Lawrence, and here goes Stock and the Singer. Pepper handed to Russell. Once more, Ollie Lawrence. Carr Smith, well, that's a nice little jink. And the sidestep from Russell, then the acrobatics, and now Ewan Richards. And it's picked up by Hobson, and off he goes. Little trundler.
Just as Ben said, if you're going to play that way, you've got to resource the breakdown or to get nicked. Tom Dunn has done so well there.
Okay, all done! That is out. You pulled him there. Use it!
Nice one for Thock and the Singer to chase. Barbary waiting around for the scraps. Didn't get to him. Instead, it got one of the lightest blokes on the pitch, Marcus Smith, and he was given a free Uber over the touchline.
Well, the lads let him land, then took the bins out, didn't they?
Just needed something like that, Bath. Just gone off the boil slightly. I wonder. It's tough in a season at the moment when you're fighting on two fronts. Obviously, a big game for them last week, lots of emotion. Just a few of their players, once that Hobson turnover happened, they were a little bit slow back into position, Bath, and it's a good job that Tom Dunn got there and turned them over. Just sometimes those big momentum shifting moments, like a big shot on Marcus Smith, might just bring them to life a little bit more. They're certainly not right at the top of their game at the moment, Flats.
Yeah, they look comfortable, they're comfortably ahead, they look dangerous, but you wouldn't say there's much shape about them. You'd say they're a group of excellent players who are very, very confident on the ball. Hobson just coming around there, ball exposed, not the first time it's happened. If you're going to play fast and loose, you need someone grafting and sticking their head in there, but Tom Dunn, for a big unit, gets all the way back there to nick that.
Got a delay because Nick David needs some attention. Harlequins probably thinking, cannot carry another injury, but anyway, Cameron Anderson has come on, and David's going off with what looks like well, a less than useful arm injury. What's that? Is that 30 now, all told? 29 or 30, I think.
Poor guy.
Added to the 23 today, Cameron Anderson, when Luke Northmore pulled out, Benny. It is ridiculous.
Side's going with 6-2 on the bench as well, so you don't want to lose one of your outside backs at this early stage.
Smith.
Advantage over. That's a good question.
Carreras running into Kenningham. Evans. Now Murley. Oh, he sees some space and rapidly finds it. And still going, swerving his way through. A little shimmer of pink has taken Quins all the way to there. And they get the penalty. What a beautifully balanced run that was from Caden Murley.
Just fantastic from Caden Murley. Rapid.
Ted Hill, exceptional defence. They give away the penalty, but he reads this. Watch Murley. He sees who's in front of him. He goes, yeah, I've got the pace on him. I'll go around him. Then he sees who's in front of him again, accelerates through. But watch Ted Hill tracking across. He doesn't overcommit. He gives him space just in case there's that inside step from Caden Murley. And as soon as he skips past Finn Russell, Ted Hill's there to sort it out, but unfortunately covers the ball coming out quickly, gives away the penalty. And now Harlequins have a chance with that line-out drive that first 5 or 6 minutes was working very well for them.
George Turner, Scotland international. Torpedoes it to Cunningham South.
Numbers. One extra. Numbers. He didn't. No, he didn't.
To stop early, that, didn't it? But I thought Harlequins had put themselves in a really nice shape. They're going to have to tap and go here. 3 big tall men at the front as a shield, and then everyone in nice body heights below, but they'll go route one now.
Turner with the tap and the go and the surge, and Barbary there to stop them, but for how much longer? No longer. Alex Dombrand goes through.
Really nicely worked. I wonder if we'll just have a look. Number 5, Kieran Treadwell, just in case he cuts across the front of
just looking
Alex Dombrand then.
Just wait with me.
Could carry this from Turner. Tap and go with interest. Keep your eye on Quinn's 5, just if he gets in front and gets in.
See, we do need to look at that. Yeah.
I don't know, because is it? Dombrand goes on the outside of Seller, so I don't know whether it's his tackle.
Just going to get it for you now, bring it, put on the screen for you.
Yeah,
it's a move that's used often, isn't it, with that hard runner going back towards the breakdown, and then someone coming from behind the breakdown into the space that the defenders have just opened a gap up. But just watch Billy Seller here. Is he the main tackler, and does he get taken out?
We'll look at number 5. Who takes
out the
first defender there.
He's inside.
So he can't get across there to make the tackle.
Yeah, we're watching number 5. Yeah, he does. He takes him out, and then that ball carrier goes through that gap behind him, doesn't he? Yeah, so...
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so back on me, please. Rosie, I have a decision.
Coming back to you now, Sarah.
I'm sure you'll recognise the tones of David Rose, our TMO.
Number 5, Harlequins, runs a blocking line, which causes the gap for them to go through, so there'll be a penalty against Bath. Not that I'm aware of, no.
Sort of need to do that move, but just maybe 2 or 3 metres wider out. You'd probably get away with it.
Yeah, sure, yeah. The TMO's there. TMO's there. Back here. Yeah, 25.
Caden Murley, you know, if we ever do get organised this race for the fastest lads in the Prem, I reckon Caden Murley might be one of those guys that does better than a lot of people think.
He's actually just gone off for a head injury assessment. Stu Townsend has come on, so because of the 6-2 split, Quins have brought on a scrum half to replace a winger.
Looks like Friday might have gone into the wing spot, actually.
Yeah, Friday's gone to the wing. Gathered by Yules. Loose. With his brush was Barbary.
Use it!
25 minutes gone. Santi Carreras and Tom Carr-Smith with the tries for Bath, in between Bryn Bradley for Quins.
There's a problem for you. It's knocked on, but you watch Friday as he goes up, he just takes his eye off the ball and has a little look at where Thokinasinger is. Maybe an out-and-out winger wouldn't have done that, just in the build-up to it. And so you can see he's sort of gone up half-heartedly. He knows there's going to be a collision in the air. I guess if you're not doing that week in, week out at training, and if you're Bath, you've probably noticed that and gone, right, there's the tactic while the HIA is in progress.
Yeah, you'd imagine one of the 15 lads out there for Bath, or a coach or somebody, will have thought, well, look at the size difference. Friday and Thokinasinger should be a no contest.
If you're wondering where Will Porter is, he's in the most popular room at the Surrey Sports Park at the moment, the physio's room.
Stay high!
Townsend backs away from that scrum, and he's fed by Dombrandt, and charge upfield from Kerr. Again, Dombrandt taking them on, and
that's a good turnover.
Again, but Bath are kind of... Carr-Smith flew off that scrum, trying to read that ball back in behind. Really, really aggressive in defence. He was the only person really moving with any proper energy and electricity and aggression. Bath looked a little bit ponderous getting round the corner, realigning, never got back on side. And then when Dombrandt got the ball, the hit wasn't there.
Johan van Graan has got his headphones on. We'll be having a chat with Johan in a minute or two. I'm sure he'd much rather watch what his boys do defensively from this Harlequins attacking line out first, however, so we will give him that opportunity. Kenningham conspiring with Dombrandt, and George Turner with the job of hitting whatever target they've chosen. Slow, studied approach to this line-out. Coming in south, despite the best efforts of Ted Hill. Kenningham gets it away a little bit further wide to Bradley. And then Turner. Was taken low by a Jomo. But it's still Quins, and they have the penalty.
Just a little bit inaccurate. Too tempting for Pepper. The referee said he put his hands on the grass first.
Let's have a quick chat with Johan, because this might take a while. Headline thoughts, Johan. What are you seeing so far?
I think we've been on the wrong side of the penalty count. You can't defend penalties, so Quins have got field position, and you know that's why we camped in our own half. Once we got into their 22, you know, we were very positive, and you know, the second try we got out of quick momentum. So you know, we need to make sure that we adapt to the referee and make sure that we're a bit more clinical.
As much as we'd have loved to watch Ben Spencer again this evening, Johan, we're enjoying Tom Carr-Smith. He always does a job for you, doesn't he? What do you like about this young man?
Yeah, firstly, homegrown, works extremely hard. That inside support was excellent. Crisp passing, and he's got a really good kicking game, so bright future for him.
And Ewan Richards, another one who's caught our eye so far.
yeah, he's got speed. Great opportunity for him tonight. You know, hopefully he gets the ball a bit more in his hands. He stole that first line out. Again, you know, when guys get the opportunities, they'll perform.
Great stuff. Thanks for waiting for us, Johan. Thank you.
The Ewan Richards thing is interesting because you think back to someone like Courtney Laws. He was an out-and-out back row, and then when he started playing a bit of second row, Dorian West, who was his coach at the time, said the only thing is what's non-negotiable is the scrum work. Can he do the scrum work? The props say yes, he can play there. So you won't know if Ewan Richards does the scrum work unless you speak to the props off the record. I imagine he does, or they wouldn't be picking him.
Joe, lovely.
Quinn Roux, by the way, suffered a leg injury last weekend in that fabulous game against Northampton in the Champions Cup. But rather like Tom Carr-Smith, it gives us a chance to see a little bit more of Ewan Richards.
Sort of moment Jan van Graan would have wanted. A bit of time down here. Finn Russell hovering in behind the scrum. Hokanasiga on his shoulder. Jomo standing proud as the first receiver.
Carr-Smith, a couple of steps forwards, and then he finds a Jomo and the ball very swiftly into the arms of Carreras, who with very swift feet unpicks the Quins lock.
Yeah, that's a really smart score. We highlighted where all the players were standing, but there's just too many options because Hokanasiga is right on Russell's shoulder as he makes that break. But the decision-making of Finn Russell, superb. The ball to a Jomo out the back, half break through. The defender steps in to mark Hokanasiga, but Carreras is just one couple of clicks wider out.
I can't hear you anyway.
Lovely little show round the back before the recovery can happen. And Marcus Smith, who's having to stay wider for the threat on that wide channel, just doesn't react quite quickly enough to close the door.
Tries good, Sarah.
That from Finn Russell is fabulous, isn't it? And the defence is poor. As soon as Santi Carreras got that ball, you thought he's got to whip it wide. Arundel's in. But in the end, everybody thought about Arundel. Nobody defended the first threat. Just a lack of concentration from Harlequins in not hitting Carreras, but Jesus, sharp out. You think the confidence Bath have got on the ball. I understand their different respective seasons these two teams have had, but you've got Quins taking 3 points in a game where the season's all but gone. I sort of think good enough chance to have a crack, isn't it now?
Russell with the conversion, Russell with the clearing kick that he wasn't quite so happy with, but we've had half an hour. Bath have scored 3 tries and lead 21-8.
Tries directly off first phase are huge indicators of how good a team's attack are. Just efficiency, one phase and we get over. It's a big thing. Coaches will use that measure, as that's when we're right on our A game. If we could take those without the defence, without the ruck, without the chance to slow the ball down, that's when we're flying.
Petty again with the little no-look feather-like touch down. That moment not quite captured in the kick that followed. And the man on the right has added his investment to the place he loves as much as the man on the left does over the last couple of weeks.
Do you reckon he does his hair like that, Bruce?
I was just going to say, I
up?
think he's been using a few of the man to his right's hair products.
What he right?
Very nice.
A volume to
curling
it,
tongs.
Yeah. That's great.
Go on, fellas. Let's
If
go.
I had hair, I'd want it either like Martin Castro Giovanni or Bruce Craig.
Or Alfie Barbary.
Or Alfie, there you go, yeah. That's great, isn't it?
He looks like a mop, doesn't he? He's a very mobile mop.
It just looks... Imagine how strong you'd have to be to mop a floor with Alfie Barbary. You'd have to hold him up by his ankles. Just looks like a lot of maintenance to me, like one of those big dogs.
I'd go for Jean-Pierre Reeve, but Sarah's already got that look, so...
Michael Bolton, right, here we go.
Google Jean-Pierre Reeve, kids. Jomo, ball back inside, and Bath again asking questions through midfield with Hokanasiga.
They're so much better when they're direct, Bath, because they've got so much power and so many guys that can hit lines with aggression and players to deliver that ball. It doesn't quite come off, but keep your eye on Tom Carr-Smith here. He just sneaks through. He's in exactly the right spot. Hokanasiga does a little bit better with that. Quins are struggling. just slips out of the hands, doesn't it?
Might seem only a small thing as Jan van Graan starts the half-time committee meeting early. It's only a small thing, but just the look on Bath's players' faces, even when things go wrong, there's a smile, there's an acceptance that it might go wrong, but we're giving it a crack.
I think loads of that is about personnel. So guys like Finn Russell, we know about his attitude to mistakes. He lets them go. Max Ajomo, infectious personality on the field, but ultimately I think it starts from the boss on a Monday morning. What's the actual atmosphere like when things haven't gone great? Everyone talks about not being too high or not being too low. I think it appears that Johan van Graan lives it. That permeates the players on the field.
What Harlequins didn't need was for Caden Murley to fail his HIA, and sadly he has. So Stu Townsend will be on permanently now as the scrum half. And the starting scrum half, Lucas Friday, is going to have to find his way somehow on the wing.
When you put yourself in the shoes, in the seats of these Quins coaches, and you think, well, we're struggling anyway, we're just losing player after player after player. It's just brutal.
Do you reckon Finn Russell ever deliberately doesn't kick it quite as far into touch as he can, because he knows he gets to have a play with it if it's bang on the 22 rather than 10
forwards
metres
will
out
nick
from
it.
the line? Yeah.
Wouldn't be a shot, would it? Does what he wants.
Friday, the last defensive line at the moment, sweeping up as Barbary powers towards him. It's a juicy blindside on that right-hand side that Ted Hill is stretching as much as he can at the moment. Hill now drifts in as the ball heads towards us on this left-hand side. Carr Smith, Russell. Good work from Treadwell, who made a nuisance of himself. Sella, Philly Kesa Sella. Carreras, 2 tries already, that's nice. And look at Joe Thucken, the singer. However, Harlequins throwing everything into winning this ball back, and having been given the job of sweeping up behind everyone else. Lucas Friday did it brilliantly just then.
Leave it. Use it.
Townsend's clearance. 5 minutes to half-time.
Lawrence just, people worry, just started to, obviously injured his arm in a contact and he's not recovered quite yet.
I wondered when he had that speculative carry a minute or so ago, a couple of phases ago, he ended up getting whacked. I wondered if there's a bit of an impact, and I just wondered if he, rather than wondering what he was going to do now he had the ball, I wondered if he just took a millisecond to check if he was all right before he took contact again.
Well, I'm not awfully sure that Harlequins will have a great deal of sympathy for Bath having 1 or 2 injuries at the moment. There's Nick David with the right arm injury, Caden Murley with the HIA. I reckon that's 28 players on the injured list now, 16 forwards, 12 backs. Amongst them, it's quite a 15. Finn Baxter, Boris Wenger, Simon Kerrod, Pedro Delgado, Titi Lamasatelli, Harry Williams, Jordan Ells, the hooker. So that's half a dozen props. Stefan Levis, James Chisholm, Joe Launchbury, Tom Lauday. And if you want some backs as well, how about Will Porter, Jamie Benson, Rodrigo Isgrove, latterly, Oscar Beard, Ben Weghorn, Cassius Cleves, Tyrone Green.
It's a big old list. And as you said, the 2 backs already gone. Very interesting. We got money on the next player to play in the back line if needed, Alex Donbran.
But I know that, but if they're taking longer...
It's one of those things that the club might want to look at, that Robbie Deans might want to look at over the summer. Have we just had a lot of bad luck?
Ready?
Or why have we got this many injuries?
Do you know, one of the things that people don't say enough about Bath is that their injury list is almost always, touch wood, is almost always small. They keep guys fit a lot. There's something in it.
Lawrence is back on his feet, but his hands weren't working properly just then.
You know, I had a really interesting chat with Chris Boyd last night, and I'm not talking out the school, it was off air, but it was talking about you try and improve and fix a club to a point. You say your line-out's going wrong. It's not always the timing between the hooker in the second row. It's not always the calls. It can be the link between coach and physio. It can be the link between S&C and chef, whatever it is, or kitman. It can, all those things, they all tie together to mean if it's an atmosphere of actually something less than excellence that's being driven and expected by default, it all makes a difference, and where it's manifested is on the pitch on telly.
Could be silly things, or not so silly things, like the quality of the training pitch.
Yep.
What you're running around on during the week.
All that stuff.
There are a lot of questions that Quins will be looking to answer over the course of the next few months. Townsend to Jared Evans. Santi Carreras with Thokina Singer offering some support to the right, but instead the tackle was taken from Kenningham. Tom Dunn for the champions for Bath, who scored 3 already. Russell, Ajomo, Lawrence. Yules carried on to by Kieran Treadwell, and that result of all that is a Bath scrum. Well, one more Gallagher Premier game to come tomorrow afternoon with us. We're up in the northwest for Sale and Saracens on TNT 1 from 2:30.
Yeah. That's politely asking.
And then later on in the Premier League tonight, a big night ahead at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea and Manchester United continue to hunt down Champions League football next season. TNT 1 and HBO Max at 7. And if you're a UFC fan, we've got some more of that tonight as well. Welterweight Gilbert Burns and Mike Mallow from Winnipeg, your late night viewing.
Talked a bit about teams playing styles, haven't we? And what Chris Boyd's going to do when he comes in, what Robbie Deans is going to do with playing styles. If you look at Bath and the midfield punch that they have, that is what sets them apart. Northampton's slightly different, their ability to play into the wider channels and spread defences, but you've got Finn Russell, who is one of the best decision-making ball players there is, and then running down that midfield channel you've got Barbary, Ajomo, Lawrence, you've got the 2 wings working off their wing.
He's standing there with his arms folded,
but he's just got so much to play with, and then if you get tight on him, he has the ability with that long ball over the top to the pace in the wide channels with Carreras and Arundel.
All that was missing there was a bottle of lager. Harlequins offside as Richards burst through.
But again, that midfield punch, Ajomo gets over the gain line, probably 1.5, 2 metres more, because of his pace to get slightly into the outside channel and make it a side-on tackle rather than a head-on head, or head-on tackle. And then the big boys getting up, can't quite get back into the defensive line in position quickly enough. They give away a penalty, he kicks to the corner, you've got a big forward pack to try and drive them over.
And right to the corner as well.
Yeah. And when Finn Russell does want to hit it within 5 metres, he hits it within 5 metres.
Yeah. I think you might have stumbled on something there, Ben. He's even doing pretend slices now.
6.
The rep finds its voice just before half-time, half a minute to go. Bath looking for the bonus point score. Skipper Yules gathers it. Dunn has it. Quins have done a good job to bring him back in and glue that up.
Nice job. Nice job from Quins. Alex Dombrandt, once he saw the thing hit the deck and realised it was all it had done so legally, he can pile in there and slow that ball down a bit. So it's bright work from Dombrandt, but the heavy work's done on the inside. It's actually collapsed by a Bath player. I think right up the front there, it's Scott Kirk that collapses it. He folds on the inside. You might see from here, you might not.
No, let's stop building, please.
Just take my word for it, lads. I wonder what Quins do from here. It's so easy to say, have a go, lads, you know. Can't get relegated, have a go, express yourselves. But I sort of think it's a long way to the Bath try line from here, isn't it? It felt odd seeing them take 3 points. It did feel odd seeing them do that. I can't see them running from here, but it'd be fun, wouldn't it?
So let's go. Yes, boys. This is what's going.
Right. I need some control on that hit from you guys, okay? You guys need to stay in that contest, please, okay?
Hey.
Right, come on, rebuild, let's go. Come on, fellas, let's go again.
It's interesting that from Sarah Cox, just asking Quins to stay in the contest. It's just a bit of control from Bath she's asked for. It's almost as if Bath are putting a bit too much weight on, but Quins are making that obvious by folding on the hit. Not taking the hit is the insinuation, at least.
Keeping a close eye on Joe Jones and Scott Kirk on this near side.
Steady!
Jones who goes down, but it's Kirk who has
elbow to the floor.
been picked out.
Tough shout for me, that. Tough shout. His elbow does hit the floor first, but it always will because he's a loose head and he's binding underneath his opposite number. I thought Joe Jones got laid out pretty long on that. Even pre-engage, he looked so long, he was always tipping over. I think Quins have got lucky there.
Scott Kirk.
I need that elbow.
That's Joe Jones. Kirk, who grew up in South Africa. He's only 22, won England under-20 caps.
I understand what you're saying there.
Getting a go today because Benno Abano hurt his back last weekend. Oh, that's nicely stolen by Ted Hill. And one last go for Kirk and Bath before half-time. Russell whips it away. Picks out Lawrence. The snap on those Russell passes.
Alex Dombrandt did a great job of slowing that down. He just kept his paw on that long enough, didn't he? Then his mate went too far.
I did tell you to leave it alone. Side entry, number 6.
Dombrandt clever, Petty, not so much.
We're getting some free minutes at the end of this first half. 3 of them already. Jan van Graan was heading back to the dressing room about half an hour ago, telling the replacements what he was going to say. He's hanging around for the whistle to finally go. Richard Blaze there as well, the forwards coach. Both of them watching what comes of this right at the end of the first half. Pepper, Barbary. He runs into Dombrandt, and Dombrandt stood firm. And again, Hill, he's lost it, and that'll do. Oh, no, it's another penalty. Might be dark by the time we reach half-time.
Straight in the line of his 9.
Again, the ball spills, but doesn't quite come off. The accuracy's not quite there from Bath, but when they're direct, you talk about power, it's not just scrum, breakdown, maul, line-out drive, it's carrying. There's so much power there. Ted Hill steaming through that gap then. That's when they're at their most threatening.
Sarah Cox just making sure that there will be 6 jumpers in this line-out, and one of them was Ewan Richards. However, that was not affected properly.
Charlie Hill's reaction to that. Oh, too late.
No. Fellas, we have to.
They want out, the lads.
I know.
They want an espresso and a fizzy water.
It's a nuanced law. We have to play the scrum. It's a nuanced law.
Well, there you go.
It's caught on the outside. You guys had no fair contest at that. Right, come on, fellas. Let's get going.
100 years ago, when the Dinosaurs were playing, if a team tried to run off before the whistle had gone, and you played for Bath now, you would say, they don't want it, lads. They don't want it. They probably do want it. They just want to sit down even more.
Gird the loins for one last big effort at the end of this first half. Guido Petty readying himself for the impact. Jan van Graan readying himself for a flat white. And that'll do. Finally, we can all head off for a half-time cuppa. And on a weekend when Saints, Tigers and the Bears have all won in the top 4, top 5 shake-up, Bath are winning as well. Half-time at the Rec. Bath 21, Harlequins 8. It's been one of those players doing what he can to stand up to Bath in the first half, Alex Dombrow, and making sure that somebody catches the restart. That somebody was Stu Townsend. Came on in the first half for Caden Murley, who suffered a head injury. Nick David suffered an arm injury.
No, it's behind him.
So Cam Anderson came on. So the two replacement backs that Quins had on the bench at a time when they've got about 1 million injuries are already on. We'll see how that pans out over this remaining 40 minutes. Joe Jones, only his 4th game for the club, the tight head prop going in. Ted Hill, head down.
Use it!
Just joining us, Ben Spencer not playing this evening because he's just suffered a bit of a bang to the shoulder. So Tom Carr-Smith on, brilliantly done by Thockin Singer to lay it back to Pepper. Here's Kirk. Carr-Smith, Barbary wants the kick, gets it, and Smith was there first.
Again, we see Thockin Singer up in the air dominating Lucas Friday, as well he might. He's 7 feet taller and about 9 stone heavier. Very, very simple from Bath. Put a good big one against a good little and see what happens. It's effective.
Bath's search for a 4th and very early bonus point, securing try. Takes them to within, what, 7 or 8 metres of the Quins try line. Pepper, up he goes. Around him go his mates. And then the backs joining in, notably Thockin Singer driving over the line. Sarah Cox has a look, says ball on the floor, and there is the bonus point, securing try for the man who's done that routine so often, Tom Dunn.
And as someone who's been in a few, that just looked like it had a nice feel to it, that catch and drive, didn't it, Benny? The timing was great. They didn't take too long to set up. They landed and went. As soon as Pepper hit the deck, they went. Body heights were decent. The momentum was there before Quins could do much about it. Ball really, really nicely protected. Posted through to the back. Dunn let everyone go over the top of him. Quins are onto a loser there as soon as Pepper landed. Onto a loser.
You had 3 players individually trying to crack the maul. You want one really trying to get through and break a bind. So the best placed player to do that was Cunningham South, but on his inside towards the touchline, both Jones and Turner tried to do the same thing, so there was no ballast to stop the initial drive.
The conversion goes wide, but that's Bath's 11th try-scoring bonus point of the season. They're running neck and neck with Northampton at the moment. Two sides, the top 2 in the Gallagher PREM, although Leicester with the big win against Newcastle earlier before kick-off here had joined Bath on the same number of points. Acrobatics from Charlie Ewells. Jomo pops it up, Russell again, and Lawrence puffing out his cheeks and bursting through strong arms.
Good D's from Harlequins there. They hung off, they didn't get tempted to bite in and create the overlap on the outside, just treading water, waited till they had to take contact, and then they sprung with Kenningham and the turnover.
Smith at fly half, the fly half. Jared Evans pushing it a little bit wider to Sean Kerr. Danny Kerr getting very excited about Sean Kerr's prospects at the start of this season. We're seeing him and Bryn Bradley in midfield this evening. Smith, oof, Hobson got the ball away and then took a bang for his troubles, and Bath working hard defensively on the 10-metre. Townsend opts for the kick, looking for Friday, caught it, but he'd wandered out and the ball had gone too far anyway.
Just wanted it earlier, Friday. He was asking for it to be put in behind, and by the time the call gets back, here's that big shot from Barbary, helped out by Dunn. Actually, Cunningham South's done really well there because 2 big units going through him and he hasn't lost any ground. But it was at this point that he just wanted it lifting over Friday. It just took a fraction of a second, which allowed Carreras and Russell at the back to get back into position.
Shot after shot, isn't it? Very, very heavy collisions from those Bath defenders.
So we were just minding our own business at half-time, Flats and I, and he said, I tell you what I do with half-time at Gallagher PREM games. Tell us what you do. I
would do absolutely nothing. I'd do nothing at all. I'd stick on an amazing playlist. You know, there's a bit of Bon Jovi on here now, which is great. Bit of Dire Straits, bit of Tupac, mix it up, whatever. Put some tunes on, get a DJ in like Quins do, whatever you want. I would do nothing. I like Chase the Otter at Chiefs, Sandy Park. I like that. Otherwise, you're just sending people away. You're keeping people pinned to their seats. They're not going off spending money.
Nick Evans was busy at half-time doing important stuff. What were you talking about, Nick?
Yeah, no, we're just kind of embracing kind of where we're at. You know, we've got Lucas on the wing and just enjoying the challenge that we've got here. And, you know, we want to have a crack at a team that's obviously won the Prem and probably looking pretty good to do it again. So, you know, we want to challenge them in different areas in different ways. And obviously discipline's going to be a big part of that. And you saw just at the start of the second half there, just a silly offside penalty. And, you know, they punish you.
How have you boys done so far?
Yeah, no, look, I think, you know, we've actually looked okay. You know, we've got ball in hand. Just to, you know, obviously the tap pen try was a little bit unfortunate, but we just said we want to be aggressive. You know, we're not going to die wondering here, so we're going to have a crack.
How are you using Marcus Smith? We just saw him there. Is he alternating between fullback and 10? What's your thought as the attack coach?
Yeah, no, we're just looking at him and Jared, making sure they're connected as best we can, and then letting our strike runners do what they do out there. Hopefully we can finish this.
Well, let's see. Oh, that's brilliantly done by Petty, and then a combination of Petty and a very large second row. Kieran Treadwell goes over, and that's the kind of work that Nick Evans could do with much more of over what's left of this second half.
Kieran Treadwell has done so well to score that, I think. Guido Petty, speculative, but actually sticks his left arm out and brings it back, so it's actually safer than it looks. But that offload, left-handed, sort of out the backhand over the left shoulder, absolutely mega. That's good enough, because if he doesn't get it, he's either in the bin or Bath are scoring. Offload, fantastic, massive contact from Treadwell. It's gone over a couple of big boys to score that.
Very telling what Nick Evans was saying, wasn't it? We saw a little chip through after the initial break from Alex Dombrandt, and then we see people jumping out the line. It looks like Harlequins have just said, right, let's gamble. Let's take them on. Let's do what Harlequins are renowned for. Make this game loose as anything and put the pressure on a team that look comfortable. They look like they're cruising to victory. And the first part of it's worked very well. Brilliant finish.
What an offload. Can we request a bit more animation from Nick Evans next time, please? Are we allowed? There's only a row in front. We'll chuck a note at him. Cheer up, mate. Good one, that.
Friday's clearance. Bath 26, Harlequins 15.
Dombrandt's got some energy on that kick chase as well. There's a little bit about Harlequins now. Let's just lit the touch paper a little bit.
Russell. Oh, he held it up again for Pepper.
Hands away, hands away.
Just listening to the ref. You just got to listen.
The ref is clearly gone.
Sarah Cox said it twice. Bryn Bradley never let go. He might have thought he was legal. That doesn't matter. It's what she thinks, what the ref thinks. Such an unnecessary pen to give away.
Love watching Alex Dombrandt again this evening, and remember him bristling really with some of the external criticism that they've been copping over the last few months after the win in Cardiff against Bristol. He feels that it's been unfair. He's working hard to protect his squad, and again he's putting it all out there tonight.
He is very, very active. We know all about him. He can kind of do everything to a very, very high level. I think lots of the criticism has been valid, frankly. The results speak for themselves. But certainly he's putting in a performance. He's rarely poor, is he?
Lawrence bashes it up. Carl Smith goes the other side. Quinn's offside. Carl Smith wants more. Barbariel Oh, he could have gone on his own. Instead, he opened the door for Ewan Richards. Life right now as a Bath player looks an awful lot of fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, again, it's that punch through the midfield which gives them the initial momentum. Really good leg drive. And then it's about speed of ball. There was in the face before a similar movement.
Direction me, just say that again.
Here's the carry from Lawrence. Wins the collision. Reasonably quick ball. They come back to the other side.
It's fine. Absolutely no problem.
Sarah Cox was just asking whether that was the same as the Harlequins one that got the try chalked off in the first half, but TMO's happy it's not. Yeah, Treadwell does manage to slide off and he ends up making the tackle. Don't think it disrupts him from making the tackle on Hill. Two tight runners. The defence all steps in and then it's a 3-on-1 on the outside and Alfie Barbary does his job.
It's just you talk about, again, the punch and the power of Bath. And you got Lawrence taking the ball up. We know all about his power, but you've got to keep an eye on Ajomo because there's so much power there as well. And inside Arundel, hugely explosive. The ball could go to Dunn, it goes to Ted Hill, a ton of power. So it just keeps coming and coming and coming. It looks different in different positions and different parts of the field. Lovely from Barber, he could have scored it himself. There's a lot of grunt, a lot of talk in this team.
Harlequins have just brought on 3 fresh players. The tight head prop, Ollie Streeter for Joe Jones. Second row, the youngster Elliot Williams for Kieran Treadwell, who's worked hard, and Will Evans into the back row for Jack Kenningham.
Inside, stay on. No. Use it.
Well, for half a minute, I'm sure that one or two of us were wondering what this place might feel like if Quinn scored the next try after Treadwell's, but it didn't take long for Bath to score the next try, and here comes a large bus full of trouble.
Just the front row on its own. Francois Van Fake. He's been fantastic for Bath, actually, since he arrived. Detroit, we know about Dan Frost. Frost's an interesting one, such a good player, really good signing from Chiefs. Actually struggled to knock Tom Dunn out of the team. I think that was probably the way it was meant to go, but how do you leave Tom Dunn out? What a front row to come off the bench.
Well, I can see 16, 17, 18, 19, 22, 20 as well. Effectively, if you're wearing a Bath shirt, you're coming on. Finn Russell. And that's nicely away by Anderson, who, under some pressure, managed to get that ball clear. And Harlequins now in full flight. Sean Kerr driving them up into the 22. Don Brandt. Smith. Ooh, off he goes. He's through. The support of Bradley. Bradley needed to clear off the efforts of Ewan Richards. Hobson. Evans. And then Smith. Oh, taken on the outside by Petty. That took some stopping, but Ted Hill did the stopping. And then the drive through from Bath's defence.
Oh, that will be big black mark against Cunningham South. Carreras driving him off the ball. Just got caught, not expecting the counter up. They get to go again, though.
Richards has to give that up. Instead, it's Don Brandt once more. Hobson gave it all he had. But wasn't quite enough by the looks of things, or was it? Chandler Cunningham South down there, and there were hands on the floor where there shouldn't have been.
Saw a bit of both. We saw Cunningham South in the wide channel. That ball could so easily have died with him, but he got it away, did really well, then gets driven off a breakdown. That's nothing to do with power and effort. That's concentration. Does really, really well. Look at that aggression. Have some of that.
No room on my bus.
He should join Matchroom. Decent little right jab, that. Lot of power. Lot of aggression in there.
1, 2, 3, 10, 5 and 9.
Usha.
1, 2, 3, 10, 5 and 9.
Well, Bath have made all those replacements. It's easier to say that Miles Reid is the only replacement who hasn't come on.
Finn Russell, one of those to take a knee.
I'm sure we'll see him in a minute or two. There's Josh Bayliss. Continues to play the rugby of his life. So Frost, Van Feyck, Du Toit, Maloney, Bayliss, Bernard van der Linde, the new scrum half, and Louis Hennessy as Finn Russell clocks off. Petty, oh, that's nicely held up, and Dombrandt, but it's gone forwards. Real shame. That had some energy and ambition about it.
Nearly lovely this, wasn't it, till that. So Carreras has gone to 10, has he? Jomo looks like he's staying in midfield. Arundel to fullback, perhaps.
Certainly looking as if Arundel is covering that spot. It's Hennessy onto the wing. Louis Hennessy has been emptying his boots about ever since returning from the Six Nations as a Wales international now. As long as the tries at Sale 3 weeks ago, they're very watchable.
Hobson adjudged to have hinged down, to have collapsed that. There's a lot of weight coming on then, quite early from the engage. Not 100% on that one. Quite like the idea of a reset there.
Just a word about Elliot Williams, by the way. He's only 18. He's thoroughly enjoyed his first Premiership start under the roof and the bright lights of the Principality Stadium a few weeks ago. He started every game for England's under-20s in the Six Nations. Made his Premiership debut this year. We've been talking a lot about Quins and the injuries and wondering where they're going. It's around players like him that you can start to build a future.
And, you know, by the time we get to next season, he'll have a handful of big games under his belt. He'll have run into, run over, tackled, been run over by big names. He'll be less in awe of them. His body will be better prepared for it.
Ball away by Hennessy, and the charging Bayliss. Held up, but not enough. Nobody personifies the determination of this club on occasions quite like him. He had no right to get to the try line, but he wasn't listening to anyone.
It's fabulous how late. Look at Carreras there. Bottom of your screen, comes really, really late, so he stays hidden, and then he breaks the corner, steps hard, draws the last man into him. Offload timing perfect, goes through the hands, still takes an awful lot of finishing, though, flats.
So much pace. This from Maloney's brilliant. Absolutely engages Cunningham, South and Petty. They have to stay on him. It's a blind pass, but it's a good one. And Josh Bayliss, rapid, massive, fit, abrasive, handsome, annoying.
Yeah, tries good, Coxie.
He's been playing great rugby for a couple of years, hasn't he? But he might be playing it as well as he ever has.
And, you know, for all the big names knocking around, and there are some big names here, we know that. You've got guys like him, like Miles Reid. They're big names around these parts. And, of course, Josh Bayliss, an international in his own right with Scotland, but mega players.
Now that's one of, you know, there'll be cynicism from some of the people watching this, I'm sure, when I say this, but that's one of the jobs of Johan van Grant. He's got so much talent at his disposal. How do you keep the likes of Bayliss and Reid happy when they're not starting every week? But if you're winning, you're playing in big games, you're getting your opportunities, it feels like a whole squad effort. Funnily enough, throwing on all those subs at the same time, almost like a, you know, Rassie Erasmus bomb squad, almost feels like, right, you're just as important. You're going on to see this game out now. But this, God, it couldn't get any worse.
Poor Quins, man.
What's happening?
Poor Quins, it's awful. Poor Jared Evans. That's horrible, this.
Not going to see Dombrandt into the centres then, are we? not how Harlequins would have wanted to explore that option. They are literally down to the bare bones.
The look on the face of Toby Booth absolutely told its own story. Shoulder injury, looks of things for Jared Evans. So they've lost in this match Jared Evans, Caden Murley and Nick David, to add to the 11 backs injuries that they had before this match. Luke Northmore as well before kick-off. Meantime, they continue to give it a thrash. Smith. Clip through from Kerr. That's
Yeah, no worries.
well, we're going to get a line out here, and this might give us an indication as to what they're going to do with Alex Dombrant. We think that he might be heading into midfield.
At the moment.
He's going to be part of this line out by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes off Quinn's last, mate.
Comes off you guys last.
Comes off
Comes
Quinn's
off
last.
you guys last. Thanks, Rosie, well done, mate.
Barbary.
What's the run?
Use it! No, Quins, leave it.
It's Bernard van der Linde, South African, who pitched up from Pretoria in the Bulls this season. It's kind of zippy scrum halves that Quins will have to keep an eye on. Zach Carr.
You want to see Quins launch something, but they won't very likely have trained with this formation of players.
Nearly picked up by Dan Frost, but it was a fair way down.
It does look like Alex Dombrant is in midfield. Well, he is in midfield. Looks like he is playing centre.
Alongside Bryn Bradley. Congratulations to Ethan Clark, by the way, his Premiership debut in the middle of all this. 20-year-old who supported Quins since he was a lad.
Just chill for a second, lads.
Quins calling a couple of academy props off the bench, Ethan Clark and Ollie Streeter. Bath, on the other hand, had Francois van Fake and Thomas de Toy.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. It's next, so I'm not going to rush you on that.
It's George Turner now with the problem. We were wondering whether Nick Evans might have to strap on his smart Adidas boots. Beginning to think that Toby Booth might not be far off. I mean, if ever a face summed up where Quins are right now, it's that one, isn't it? Toby off at the end of the season. Rob Hunter coming in. Toby Booth heading to Hong Kong ahead of their World Cup.
The one thing about Dombrant having to play centre is him and Marcus Smith over the years have had a really good relationship, particularly off line-outs, first phase delivery. The amount of breaks that Marcus Smith and Dombrant have conspired together. They know this game is going to be almost impossible to win now. I think they're going to have some fun.
I'll tell you what I saw. I mean, I'm interested in Marcus Smith and Alex Dombrant, but that scrum collapsed and a reset's been called. And as if Josh Bayliss couldn't be any more valuable, he did that thing that used to happen in the old days where you go in and you grab the prop by his shorts and you pick him up. Watch him. Come here, you. Look at that.
Crouch!
Proper bloke. I'll give him 3 years just for that.
Binds!
You'd have got an extra year.
Someone help me up.
Kept picking you up.
Spent so much time on the floor. Savage, ton of weight coming through from Detroit, but it's Francois van Fake doing the damage on the far side. Ollie Streeter nods his head. He knows. No shame in that. Young bloke up against proper operators, it's always going to be difficult. Frankly, if he got away with evens, if these young lads get away with evens, the next 20 minutes, they'll be chuffed to bits with that against these boys. But it's just a ton of power. Look at the strength of the back on Detroit. Rock solid. Van Fake causing problems again.
Just a snap from Van Fake as well, wasn't it? Just timing perfect. For Harlequins, it's just all really quiet down there, which is understandable, but someone needs to just gee some of those youngsters that have come on and newly into the team up. They need to give them a bit of confidence to play and shine.
Bath have brought on their final replacement, Miles Reed for Alfie Barbary. Here he is. Toy back to South Africa and the Sharks next season, shifting timber in Durban. Pepper happy to get it going again for Frost. And now Hill. This is Josh Bayliss, scorer of Bath's 6th try. Van Fake. He's moving his life to the far west of Ireland next season. He's off to Connacht. They're bringing in Jamie Batty to help fill the prop cupboard. A Jomo. Oh, that's brilliant. And Arundel doing what he can to get away from those pink-shirted clutches. Taken on by Ross Maloney. Quality that Bath can call off the bench. De Toy at the top of that list. Van der Linde gives it some space. That's nicely done by Lawrence. Jomo wriggling away. Carreras calling the shots. Here he goes, most phases in the match. Where's it leading to? From Lawrence to Pepper to the try line. It's exhibition stuff from the champions.
And in the end, it looks easy. Santi Carreras sees his space shut down after a few powerful carries from Thomas de Toit and co. So he switches left to right. Those powerful carries have narrowed up the Quins' defence. So when Santi Carreras comes back, he knows they'll be thinner and gets it wider quickly. Ollie Lawrence can just wang it. Not the best pass in the world. Guy Pepper has to stop and check. But it's too much work for Kerr to do to stop it from there. But all that grunt up the middle just brought Quins further and further in towards those goalposts and centre field. Left all that space out wide.
And the try for rugby stat heads. I'll tell you why in a minute. It's the 150th try that they have scored in all competitions this season, and it's just taken them beyond 1,000 points as well.
How good's Ollie Lawrence at the line? We've raved about his ability to get his team over the gain line as that initial punch, but because he's such a threat, he's equally adept at going to the line as though he's carrying, a little bit like we were talking about in the first half about cutting himself, looking like he's going to be the main carrier, then pulling it back at the last minute once the defender's bitten. And then the hands of Carreras in the build-up as well, equally as good.
Zach Carr winning a cute restart. That was Lucas Friday chasing the ball. Once we're done here, we are heading to the delights of Stamford Bridge and West London. Chelsea against Manchester United.
Go on, fellas.
Big game for both sides as they set their focus on the Champions Cup next season.
Is Carrick going to keep the job full-time at Man United, Nick?
I'm a Leicester City supporter. I have no interest in football right now.
Who cares?
Just call it a little bit earlier.
Delighted to see Cov City getting promoted.
Okay, give you a chance to set.
I sent my congratulations to Goody, who offered his sympathies. Anyway, this is Turner for Quins. Zach Carr takes it up. Cunningham South.
Tackle!
Townsend. Carr again. After continuing to take his first steps at the start of a Premiership career that promises plenty. Likewise for Elliot Williams.
Shame that for Williams. He's looked really aggressive and good on the ball, isn't he? I'm enjoying Joe Thockner-Singer this evening, actually. He's often very dominant with the ball, of course he is. Genetics on the bloke, great ball carrier. He's really put some shots in tonight. He's counter-rucking. He's getting up and out of the line. He's playing like a player who doesn't think his place is guaranteed on the wing here at Bath as the season comes towards its most important stage. He's being abrasive and he's good at it because he's so big.
I was thinking about Elliot Williams. I forget, sadly, which Quins coach I was talking to at the beginning of the season about him, and he used a word that I'd never heard a coach use before about him. He said he's rumbustious, which I thought was a great word.
I hear that and I think he's the annoying big kid in class. You wouldn't want to be his teacher. And I don't know him, I mean, that might not be it, but I presume it was a compliment, was it?
Oh, it was, yeah. Puts himself around us, absolutely grown into his body. Guy Pepper has come off because Ewan Richards, who went off to have blood problems sorted out, has clearly had it sorted out.
Crouch! Bind!
Tough scrum for those Quins front rowers now, as you know that Bath will try and put another nail in the coffin here. A big shunt to give them a penalty to clear it. Get back down into the Harlequins half.
That's not,
you can tell I'm looking at...
That's not very good height from either of you. Yeah, that's both.
I was looking at Ethan Clark on this side on the loose head. He's absolutely flat out.
Right, let's get
legs are shaking. He's giving it absolute beans against Thomas du Toit.
It's very slow. They're both of you very slow.
What an opportunity to play against one of the best players to be doing it. And there's no, in the front row, there's none of this. They might meet, they might not. You are definitely going nose to nose a number of times. What an absolute great challenge for him. Hopes he rips into it.
So good to see in the warm-up Adam Jones, Quinn's scrum coach, putting a hefty arm round his shoulder as they came off and headed back to the shed, telling him to enjoy it, look forward to this, learn what he can, and he'll be learning plenty right now.
He's just begun too low there. He's desperate to stay so low that he can't get folded backwards. He wants to keep the height right down because du Toit's so big, but he goes too low, really. He's always on the way down. You see where his head's always going down. And once you've got all that weight on you, you can see how much bigger du Toit is. But he'll have another couple more shots at him.
Du Toit first to the line-out. Frost's throw. And looked away by Maloney. Carreras to Reed. The last of the Bath replacements. Here's Frost once more been a regular try scorer this season after pitching up from Exeter. It's not just Tom Dunn scoring tries in the hooker's jersey for the champions. Du Toit, Carreras, two of the great names of world rugby. Lawrence, and here's Louis Hennessy. Carreras. Lawrence held on to it for Arundel. He was held on to by Ethan Clark. Oh, and then the breakthrough from the scrum half. Van der Linde, and the bounce works for him.
That should stand as a push, which Harlequins are going to complain about. But for me, it's a shoulder charge, and he is making a genuine effort to get closer to the ball. Very interesting what the TMO thinks. Flats, what do you think?
This will be a big shout.
Yeah, Sarah, I'm just going to have a look at that now to make sure it's shoulder and not a push.
It is shoulder. It's definitely shoulder.
Is he trying to get the ball?
Yeah, because he's aiming for the ball. And then the ball actually bounces out of the path.
He's checking
This
out.
could be the angle. Maybe not. I got to say, it felt to me like he was trying to nudge our mate out the way.
So we need to review this one.
Yeah, I reckon he's clearing him out the way for his mate. That's what I think.
Okay, Rosie, so you're gonna
I disagree. Because the ball actually bounces directly in front of the Harlequins player as he leans over to shoulder to shoulder. Look where the ball is now. He's going for that. I think that's all right.
Push.
He's allowed to use his shoulder to lever him out the way. But the ball bounces off at a bit of a right angle. God, that's a tough one.
I keep rolling it through.
Yeah, we did say he was one of those scrum halves that you had to keep an eye on.
Let me show you one more.
Yeah.
Let's have a listen to this.
The bounce of the ball does them both.
Yeah, go back to that reverse angle. Yeah, that one there, Rosie. Okay, 15 clearly comes across.
His arms aren't up.
Pushes the Queen's player out the way, and then gets Bath get to the ball. So back to me, Rosie. I've got a decision.
Okay, over to you now.
It'll be no try. There's a clear push by 15 blue. Penalty Quins.
Well, they kind of pantomime boos around the wreck rather than anything much more vicious. I think they know it's probably not going to affect the outcome of the contest. Ben's not happy with that decision.
Ben thinks the game's gone soft. Nick's annoyed because he asked us to be quiet twice and we couldn't.
I just think that they've both been done by the bounce of the ball. It's a funny shaped ball.
Let's have one more look.
If the ball stays on the same angle, he's diving into the right place.
But I think he's not got his arms outstretched going for the ball, so...
Tight line.
No, anyway.
We're just biased against Bath. There was no...
I'm overcompensating.
10 minutes to go. They'll still have the 7 tries. So far looks as if it's going to do the job. It will surely do the job. It will do the job. Gathered in by Arundel. Nice strike rate this season. 18 tries in 20 games.
Clearly on the ball.
Go, boys, let's go.
To add to that so far today, he's got a little less than 10 minutes now to do something about it.
Good bit of work. Was it Will Evans, the clamp that got over that? Yeah. Once he's in that position. It's Red Rover, isn't it?
Numbers! Wait, numbers!
The Bath have got their Dyson. Quins have got a Hoover. Jack Musk is the replacement hooker on the bench. Jack Walker pulled out before kick-off. And if George Turner might go the distance, it's not gone to plan.
A missed throw, but there was no lift behind Chandler Cunningham South there. So usually it's the jumpers or the hooker that get the blame. Someone switches off in the middle of the line out, doesn't lift Chandler Cunningham South.
Let's keep that gap.
Yeah, it's Elliot Williams not there for the lift, is he?
You saw the gap first, then I'll saw the numbers, all right?
Misses that. I think you call that a mental error, don't you?
Lads, we need to go quicker. We need to go quicker.
Sarah Cox eager to get on with things. This line out nowhere near as threatening for George Turner and Quins now. Again, tipped off basketball style by Guido Petty. High in the air by Marcus Smith. Taken by Carr. Townsend. Smith. Over Thokina Singer to Friday. That kick might work. Glenn Bradley's chasing. Hennessy threads the line. Here's Smith. Anderson to his right-hand side. Ball came at around the same time as Dan Frost. Frost has won it back. Needs to be picked up by Richards initially. This is the scrum half, Bernard van der Linde, who concedes the penalty.
I don't reckon they'll take the 3 this time, do you?
I can't do anything if you come in and start pushing people. I understand, but if you start pushing people
Have a crack.
around, you take everything off the table.
Stall that disruption. with the injuries, not just the backs today, but the injuries they've suffered elsewhere, make all these drills on the line so much harder, because you just don't have that muscle memory, that knowledge of how you're going to be lifted, exactly how people are going to jump. So getting these drills accurate, particularly this stage of the game when you've got some fresh legs, some not fresh, people running at different intensities, can be a challenge.
Well, not so long ago, Joe Launchbury would have been part of this line-out operation. He's injured at the moment. 16th season as a professional will be his last, we learnt this week. Big Joe retiring at the end of it. And he'll be watching this with interest right now. So often the chief engineer at times like this for Wasps and for Quins and for England as Bradley drives through. And Bath have it. Determined to keep Harlequins to the 2 tries they've scored so far. Bayliss.
No, don't pull him in. Use the ball. Use it.
Van der Linde. Happily into the sun-dappled east stand. Joe Launchbury, by the way, asking all that his body can give him, and 70 England caps. Benny went to World Cup finals, the Wasps memories, latterly as a Harlequin, but he's decided, he and his wife Mallory, that they both need to devote a bit more time with their children, their growing family, and that's what they're going to do.
It's been hard for Joe Launchbury. He's still living up in the Midlands and commuting down to Surrey every day and to Harlequins, so he's been such a big servant of the game. Fantastic player, particularly in his time at Wasps. But I'm sure a lot of those Harlequins players will have learnt a huge amount off one of the game's real greats in the second row.
What a player Joe Launchbury's been. What a player. I remember watching games and thinking, I'm not sure I'd seen a second row except Ben influence a game that much at the top level. Amazing career, lovely man.
It's a kind of handsome Martin Johnson, wasn't he? Or a more handsome Martin Johnson.
We're all more handsome than Martin.
You can tell him that.
He knows where I live.
Jack Musk with the wonky throw, and Bath will have the scrum. Have we got time to do player of the match contenders?
Very quickly for the contenders. I think Tom Dunn was exceptional in the first half. Just his leadership, his intensity around the field. Finn Russell again in the first half, pulling the strings almost at will at times. We raved about Ollie Lawrence and his punch down the middle all game. I've given Treadwell the call here for Harlequins, but it could have been any one of the big guys. Cunningham, South, Petty and Treadwell all had an influence. I've loved Carreras both at his time at fullback, but then his little cameo for the last 20 minutes, he's been outstanding at 10. So up in the balance a bit at the moment. It's going to be a blue, black and white one, but not quite sure who yet.
Once more, it's the little South African trying to scoot around the outside. Cameron Anderson finding Smith. Ooh, that is a rib rearranger.
Again,
thankfully Sean Kerr back on his feet, no damage done.
Big Joe with a read and the hit again.
Kept away by Ollie Lawrence to Hennessy.
First player, the ball is here. First player.
Smith knew that the kick was on. Fokken Singer got there first, just ahead of young Lucas Friday, only 19 Friday.
I'm not sure if it touched someone in there.
Positionally perfect, really good read, textbook shot. Really helps being that big.
I thought it caught
when you get it all right, that's just the cherry on top, being massive.
Is he one of the players that has sort of benefited most from, I don't know whether it's Johan van Graam, it could be anyone within the coaching staff, it could be himself, but just as in terms of consistency, seems to have, over the last couple of years, just gone on to another level. Obviously always had that potential, but absolute rock star and rock solid for Bath.
Petty to Townsend, and Smith's kick not working. Musk, the new hooker, finding Cunningham South, who then goes in to protect the ball for Townsend. Streeter with the loose ball, a little bit too loose. Miles Reed fancies this. Marcus Smith there first. 2 minutes to go.
Go get it! Go get it, Ross!
Stu, use it!
What are Quins up to here? Musk to Cunningham South, who's lost it. Back in Quinn's hands, but...
No, Tag, leave it. Ball is here.
Still in Quinn's hands.
No! Go back. Use it!
Singer drifts in field. Carl wasn't far away. Reed. Maloney helps to get it wide, and then Carreras even further wide. And then off the ground, one-handed by Ajomo. It's opening up here right at the end. Here's Kerr, who's been operating from fullback recently. Player of the match, Benny.
I've made my decision. It could have so easily been Ollie Lawrence. I'm such a big fan of his, but I've just really enjoyed watching Santi Carreras today. In particular, him playing at 10. He scored his try. He's done his work. Just a bit of a streaker on the field that Carreras is having a look at there, but he has been such a breath of fresh air, slotting straight into that 10 shirt when Finn Russell came off. So Santi Carreras is our Gallagher PREM player of the match.
Yeah, he's been so good. He's added the quality this season that we knew he would bring when he arrived from Gloucester. It's fair to say the streakers put in almost as many match meters as Santi Carreras has now.
Well, Flats has just left the commentary position, and now there's a man in his pants with a hood over. You can't see his face, but I'm not sure the body type is quite the same as Flats.
And you can tell by the boos that the stewards have finally done their job. He's done his job, Santi Carreras. Bath have done theirs. What gear did Bath get into today, Benny, do you think?
I think worryingly for other teams. I mean, look, we know the situation at Harlequins and the injuries, the lack of form they had before they started getting some of those injuries. But they have coasted a little bit, Bath, haven't they? It's been... I think that's the worrying thing for the others, is they just know how much they've got to do. They know that they can go through a couple more gears, turn it on, but they never looked like they weren't comfortable throughout this game. Be interesting. You can't have too many performances like that, because suddenly you get a massive shock when someone comes and is at an intensity that you haven't been playing at for a couple of weeks. But they had last week against Saints. They've got another big game coming up in Europe as well, obviously. So they'll get a few chances at testing that intense battle again. This has almost been the perfect antidote to the bumps and bruises they undoubtedly would have felt last week.
Bath a busy end. Important end to the month. Northampton away next weekend. Bordeaux in the Champions Cup semi-final, looking to finish this one with a flourish, and they might with Joe Thock and the singer. Van der Linde. Richards. Miles Reed's waits, but Bath go the other way with that scooty little South African scrum half. Bernard van der Linde finally gets his try with time up, and Bath will end up with 8.
van der Linde's a real threat, isn't he? Just don't get the guards quite into position. They've got players on the floor not able to extract themselves quickly enough and get into position. And his eyes are up. Little dart, shows the ball, he can pass it if anyone steps in, no one does. The Red Sea parts and he just slides in almost untouched.
Tries good, Coxie.
Santi Carreras for 50. And that's the only lingering disappointment for Bath at the end of a thoroughly satisfying 80 minutes for Johan van Graan at the Rec this afternoon. Santi Carreras got them going early on after just 5 minutes. Bryn Bradley with a quick response for Quins, but really from that point on, Finn Russell pulling the strings. Bath taking control. Carr Smith scored, Carreras got another try, Dunn, Richards, Bayliss, Pepper, and right at the end, Bernard van der Linde all adding to the score in that second half. It's been largely a good weekend for those with ambitions of wresting the Gallagher Premiership title from this place, but then on this Saturday evening, the champions stride out and remind us once more what they are all about. Once more, Harlequins will head home, knowing the levels that they have to try and strive for next season.